The wind howled through the grand halls of the royal castle, rattling the golden chandeliers and flickering the candle flames along the stone corridors. Outside, the storm raged, lightning flashing across the darkened sky, casting eerie shadows across the marble floors. Inside the great hall, the king and queen sat upon their thrones, their faces filled with concern and impatience. Across from them stood their only son, Prince Edward, tall and noble, but troubled. "You must choose a bride soon, my son," the king said, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. "The people need a future queen." Prince Edward sighed. "But father, I cannot marry just anyone. I seek a true princess, one of noble heart and gentle spirit. Someone who is kind, wise, and full of grace." The queen nodded. "A true princess is not measured by riches or beauty alone. She must have the heart of royalty, pure, kind, and deserving of the crown." The prince had met many women, all claiming to be princesses, but none felt truly right. He longed for someone special, someone destined to rule beside him. As the storm outside grew louder and fiercer, a sudden knock echoed through the great castle doors. The royal guards exchanged glances. Who could be visiting at this hour? The heavy doors creaked open, revealing a mysterious young woman standing in the rain, her cloak soaked through, her golden hair dripping. "I am a princess," she whispered, her emerald eyes filled with determination. "And I seek shelter for the night." Prince Edward stepped forward, stunned by the unexpected visitor. A princess? Here? On such a stormy night? Something about her felt different, but was she truly royal? The queen exchanged a glance with the king, then turned back to the girl. She smiled kindly, but with a hint of suspicion. "You claim to be a princess," she said, her voice soft yet firm. "But how can we be sure?" The young woman lifted her chin proudly. "I was raised in a palace far from here. I have seen the world, studied alongside great scholars, and learned the ways of the royal court. I seek not wealth or status, but a place where I truly belong." Prince Edward watched her closely. There was something honest and strong in her gaze, but still, the queen hesitated. Then, an idea sparked in the queen's mind. A secret test, one that no ordinary girl could pass. "Prepare the royal chambers," she instructed the maids. "Stack 20 of our softest mattresses on the grand bed, and beneath them place a single small pea." The prince frowned. "A pea? Mother, what does this prove?" The queen smiled knowingly. "A true princess has a heart as delicate as lace, and a soul as gentle as the wind. If she is truly royal, she will feel even the smallest discomfort." The prince looked at the mysterious girl once more. She stood tall, unwavering. Was she truly a princess? Or would the queen's test reveal the truth hidden beneath the storm? As the royal servants prepared the bed, the young woman was led to the towering stack of mattresses. The moment she saw it, her eyes widened slightly, but she said nothing. She climbed the ladder to the top and lay down. The castle grew silent, waiting for the night to unfold. As the candlelight flickered and the storm raged outside, no one knew that by morning the kingdom would never be the same again. The grand chamber was silent except for the soft crackling of the fireplace. The flickering flames cast dancing shadows on the walls as the mysterious princess lay atop the towering stack of 20 mattresses. She shifted slightly, adjusting to the softness beneath her. But something felt strange. As she closed her eyes, a dull pressure pressed against her back, small but unbearable. She turned onto her side, hoping to find comfort, but the sensation remained, nagging and persistent. Her brows furrowed. How could a bed so grand feel so uncomfortable? Down in the main hall, the Queen and Prince Edward sat in silence. The Queen sipped her tea, a knowing look in her eyes. "Mother," Edward began, leaning forward, "do you truly believe this test will prove if she's a princess?" The Queen smiled. "A true princess is sensitive to the smallest of things. If she notices something as tiny as a single pea, then she is delicate in nature, noble in heart." Edward exhaled, glancing toward the staircase. "She carries herself with grace. There's something about her, something different." The Queen said nothing. They would know the truth by morning. Meanwhile, in the royal chamber, the princess tossed and turned. The pressure from beneath the layers of silk and velvet was growing stronger. She sat up, her golden hair falling over her shoulders, her emerald eyes glimmering in the moonlight. "This is the softest bed in the kingdom," she whispered to herself. "So why does it feel like I'm lying on stone?" She pressed her hand down, running her fingers over the velvet sheets. Nothing seemed out of place. Yet the discomfort remained. She shifted again, resting her head against the plush pillows, trying to ignore the strange sensation. But sleep would not come. Morning arrived with the first golden rays of the sun peeking through the castle windows. The Queen and Prince Edward stood waiting as the mysterious princess descended the grand staircase. Her eyes were tired, a hint of exhaustion resting beneath them. The Queen folded her hands in front of her. "My dear, how did you sleep?" The princess hesitated, smoothing the creases of her gown. I must thank you for your hospitality," she began. "But I will admit, something was strange. No matter how soft the bed was, I felt something beneath me. It kept me awake all night." The Queen and Prince Edward exchanged glances. The test had worked. Prince Edward smiled softly, stepping forward. "You are truly a princess." The princess blinked in surprise, unaware of the test she had just passed. But before she could speak, the Queen gestured toward the dining hall. "Come, my dear," she said. "There is much to discuss." Little did the princess know, this was only the beginning of her journey. The princess sat at the grand dining table, her fingers gently tracing the rim of a silver goblet. The morning light streamed through the towering stained glass windows, casting soft colors across the long feast table. Freshly baked bread, warm honey, and golden fruit filled the air with a comforting aroma. Yet she barely touched her meal. Her mind was spinning with questions. Why had the Queen reacted that way? Why did it matter that she had felt something in the bed? Prince Edward watched her with quiet curiosity. He had met many young women who claimed to be princesses, but none had seemed as graceful and genuine as this one. "You didn't sleep well?" he asked, tilting his head slightly. The princess gave a soft chuckle, shaking her head. "I know it sounds silly, but it felt like something was beneath me. Something small, but impossible to ignore." The Queen, seated at the head of the table, set down her cup of tea with a knowing smile. "It was no accident, my dear," she said. "That was your test." The princess's eyes widened. "Test?" Prince Edward leaned forward. "You see, my mother has a way of finding the truth when words alone aren't enough. Only a true princess, someone with noble grace and sensitivity, could have felt something as small as a single pea beneath 20 mattresses." The princess's lips parted in shock. "A pea?" The Queen nodded. "A mere tiny pea, placed beneath all those layers of silk and velvet. And yet it disturbed your sleep." The princess sat in stunned silence, then let out a breathless laugh. "I don't know whether to feel honored or confused," she admitted. Edward smiled. "It only proves what I already suspected. You are unlike anyone else I've met." A soft blush warmed the princess's cheeks, but before she could respond, a loud knock echoed through the great hall. The doors swung open, and a royal messenger hurried inside, his face pale and troubled. "Your Majesty," he gasped, bowing quickly before the Queen and Prince Edward. "Urgent news from a neighboring kingdom. A royal envoy has arrived, claiming that this princess belongs to them." The dining hall fell silent. The princess stiffened in her chair. Prince Edward's expression darkened. "What do you mean, belongs to them?" The messenger hesitated before speaking. "They say she escaped from their castle, that she is no princess at all." A hush fell over the room as the Queen slowly turned to the young woman. "Is this true?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. The princess met her gaze, her emerald eyes filled with something between fear and defiance. "Your Majesty," she said, voice steady, "I can explain everything." The dining hall fell into a heavy silence. The Queen's sharp gaze remained fixed on the young woman, who sat frozen in place. Prince Edward's expression tightened with confusion. The guards standing by the door shifted uneasily, their hands hovering near their swords. The princess took a slow, deep breath, her emerald eyes filled with determination. "I am not who they claim I am," she said firmly, "but I am not a liar either." The Queen folded her hands, her expression unreadable. "Then tell us the truth, my dear." The princess hesitated for just a moment, then lifted her chin and spoke. "I was born in a palace, raised within the walls of royalty, but I never truly belonged," she began. "My kingdom was ruled not by kindness, but by greed. My parents sought power through alliances, not love or trust." Her fingers curled against the tablecloth. "They promised me in marriage to a man I did not know, a king much older than me, a man with a heart of stone. I was to be nothing more than a tool to strengthen their rule." Prince Edward's hands clenched into fists. "So you ran away," he murmured. She nodded. "I fled in the night, disguised as a servant, with only the hope of finding a place where I could truly belong." Her voice softened. "I did not come here to deceive you. I came because I had nowhere else to go." The queen remained silent for a long moment, her gaze steady. Then she turned to the royal messenger. "You said a royal envoy arrived. Are they waiting outside?" The messenger bowed. "Yes, your majesty. They demand we return the princess immediately." Prince Edward stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "No," he said, his voice firm. "We cannot send her back against her will." The queen raised a hand, silencing the room. She turned back to the princess, her expression softer than before. "My dear, do you wish to return?" The princess's hands trembled slightly, but her voice was clear and unwavering. "No, your majesty. I wish to stay." The queen studied her carefully. Then she smiled. "Then you shall stay." The princess gasped softly. Prince Edward looked at his mother in surprise. "You have proven your strength, your honesty, and your noble heart," the queen continued. "You may not come from our kingdom, but you have shown the qualities of a true princess. And that is something no title can define." The princess's eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, your majesty," she whispered. Prince Edward turned to the guards. "Send word to the envoy. Tell them that the princess has chosen her own destiny and that she is under our protection." The guards bowed and swiftly exited the hall. As the tension in the room finally eased, Prince Edward turned back to the princess, a gentle smile on his lips. "I never believed a simple pea could decide someone's fate. But I do believe in the woman who passed that test." The princess laughed softly, warmth returning to her face. "I think I believe in it now, too." The queen nodded approvingly. "Welcome to your new home, my dear." And from that moment on, the princess finally found the place where she truly belonged. Moral of the story: true nobility comes not from birth, but from the heart. Did you enjoy this magical tale? If you love the mystery, suspense, and heartwarming ending, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more exciting fairy tales. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an adventure. See you in the next story.